My name's Pricila Delatorre.
And my name is Jordan Hemp.
And you're listening to Off the Market Confessions,
where we talk about real stories, real estate, and real life. Pricila, it is good to be back in the studio once again.
It is. I feel like it's always been a minute, but it's really only been a week.
I know.
Yeah.
It has only been a week and we have some catching up to do, but I'm really excited to go over to the topics that we have today because we're doing some Q&A. So
yeah, this is really good too. These are all really good questions for buyers and sellers. So
a lot of these are questions that we've received, not just from the podcast, but from buyers and sellers or just, people who think when somebody meets a realtor, I feel like they always ask certain questions. And a lot of times they're like,
always these questions,
these ones, or they'll say like, how's the market? And I'm just like,
it depends on the agent.
Like, honestly, I don't even want to go into that.
What does that mean?
Yeah, they always say
that question mean?
They always say, how's the market? Not how's the realtor.
Yeah, no, literally. And when they ask how's the market, I always wonder, like, do you mean like, are we up? Are we down?
Yeah.
Like, how are the rates? What are you asking?
Yeah. Is it actively moving?
Is my business active or am I not doing well? Is that what you're at? Like,
I don't know.
What do you mean how's the market? The market is great.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It depends who you're asking, I guess.
So do you have any confessions this week?
Do I have any confessions? Oh my gosh. There was something I wanted to confess. It'll come back to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
what's your confession?
I
know you have one because you brought it up.
Well, no, I don't know. I mean, this isn't so much a confession. It's just like one of the things that I'm dealing with this week is I am coming up on Hop Festival stuff. And as many people know, I'm on their board and that's just got me like way overwhelmed right now.
Yeah.
Working on some golf tournament stuff for YAR, which is also like really just totally in the mix of it right now. But I closed on a sale yesterday that the buyers had purchased some of the outdoor furniture that was supposed to go with the house. And my client's mother was there helping clean up some things while they're out of town. And she took that furniture to Goodwill.
Oh, no.
So they've already prepaid. I have the money. I have to give it back, which I wasn't ever going to pocket any of it anyways. It was just like, I'm the middleman.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, like these little things, it's like,
gosh.
It's okay. I'm just hoping they won't be too disappointed. And I'll tell them, hey, if you want them back, you can probably find them at Goodwill.
I know. They might get them for a better price. Who knows?
Yeah, they might get them for a better price.
They might get them for a better price.
They probably will, actually. Probably like $10 a piece. And right now they're $25 a piece.
Oh, wow. Is it a good time to buy a house right now?
I think that depends. So when somebody asks me if it's a good time to buy a house, I know this sounds really bland, but I just tell people it depends on timing for you. Like it really comes down to you. Are you financially ready? Are you paid? It's a good one. Do you have decent credit? And so their question to us, I feel like, is asking more like, is it a good time to buy? Am I going to get a good deal? Is I think really what their mentality is. Am I going to find the right home for the right price? And I would always say, yes, if your financial setup allows you to be able to spend a certain dollar amount and your expectations are realistic, then absolutely, it's a good time to buy. Even if rates are a little higher than they were in previous years, I mean, they're really not that bad right now. They're still very, very average over the last 50-year course, 30-year course even. They're pretty average. And so, yes, it's a great time. And it's like if I was to ask you, is now a good time for me to start building wealth in myself?
Right. Yes.
Yes.
It's a better time today than it is going to be tomorrow.
Yeah.
So yes, get started early.
Do you have anything that you would say on that? Like, is now a good time to buy a home?
Yeah, I think a better question would be, I guess my question would be, do you think you can afford a mortgage?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's always a good time to buy a house. Real estate is always going to be a good investment, unless you buy something, you don't do an inspection, and then you find out the foundation's failing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Then that's a bad investment. But real estate is always a great investment. And I think the better question is, can you afford a mortgage, or what can you afford? And then we go from there. It's always a great time to buy a house. It's always a great time to start building wealth. But again, personally, I run off of your timeline. I'm not going to push you into this. I'm not going to convince you. I'm not going to harass you into buying a house because I don't know your finances. I don't know your situation at home. I don't know if you have a baby on the way. I don't know if you're sick. I don't know if, you have a dying family member that's going to impede on whatever it is that we're doing. So I'm just here whenever you need me.
I agree. Yeah. I think that's really good.
And that's always been my
low to no pressure is our approach. We're both really good at that.
I've always been like that. I'm not here to convince you to buy a house. My job is only to guide you. My job shouldn't be to convince you. If you need one, I'm here. And if you don't need one right now, whenever you do need it, I'll be here too.
That's right. Yeah. And a lot of people like wonder, should I take more time to save and stuff like that? And we can go over all those questions, but don't be afraid to ask us, is now a good time to buy a house? Because we'll tell you probably, yes, it is a good time, but
And
you need to make
usually-
sure you're capable.
Yeah. And usually I'll ask those follow-up questions like what you just said. Like, are you employed? Because that's the number one thing is I say, how long have you been at your current job? I'm not working right now. I've actually had the last 2 years off. Okay, then
Probably
you
not
do
good
need a
time.
job to buy a house.
Or if they say like, I just became self-employed 6 months ago or something, you're like, okay, well, you need to have a minimum of 2 years of tax returns being self-employed in order to count that income.
Right. And sometimes the answer might be different. I had a recent, like somebody DM'd me that question, is it a good time? Blah, blah, blah. I've been doing this for X amount of time. And I think they've only had their business for 1 year. So they haven't like filed taxes for the second year yet. That's going to be this year. And I talked to the lender and the lender said, well, it depends on XYZ, but if they can provide these documents, then we might be able to get them approved. So, don't get discouraged if you don't have that. Still ask and we can connect you to the right people. But know that you might have some things to work on. And usually I'll let them know, like, let me double check with my lender. Usually it's this, but let me see if your situation, if there's something like to work around, just so we can, just so it's not just a flat out no. I always want to see if we can find a solution before saying like, oh no, we can't help you.
Right.
Because you never know. Maybe they have a cosigner. Maybe the husband's going to buy it under his name only and she's actually going to be excluded. So all those little questions I like to ask prior to connecting them to the lender.
For sure.
So
how much money do I need to buy a house?
Well, $0. I'm just kidding.
You can do it for as little as nothing.
Yeah, you can. You can. There are things that you pay for. So, on closing day, you might come in with $0. You might even get your earnest deposit back, but you still do have to pay things like the inspector, the day of the inspection. If there's any like water tests or well tests, or I don't know, sometimes you have to pay for other
foundation certifications. Yeah, just random stuff.
Depends on your type of loan, appraisal. Some banks want you to pay it before like the closing day. Have you had that? Where they send a link to your client, they pay it, and then the appraiser goes out versus on closing. Yeah, which that one kind of frustrates me because I'll warn my people, but every bank is different. So I never know who's charging them up front. And then they're like, hey, Priscilla, I have to pay $900. And I'm like, sorry. Like, I told you, I warned you, but we can't control that.
That's right. Yeah. Well, to be completely truthful on this, how much money do I need to buy a house? I would say in most scenarios, people get approved for a loan, like if it's your first time, with a minimum of 3.5% down. Most people are in that range. 0% down might be if you're doing like a VA loan. VA for veterans allows you to put as little as nothing down. Is that a good idea sometimes? Yeah. For sure, if that works for you. But sometimes with 0 down, you have to make sure that the home is worth 100% of the loan amount, which can make it a little bit tougher on appraisals and stuff like that.
Yeah. And know that you have to pay. That's going to be your mortgage on that giant loan.
Right.
Right. So if the house is $400,000 and you're bringing in 0%, your payment is on that $400,000, not, 300 and whatever. Also, there are programs that will help with like down payment. So I've had clients that come in with, seller pays closing costs and they use down payment assistance and they get their full earnest money back. So it doesn't happen too often. I think if you have the money, yes, use it. But if you don't, there's ways as long as you qualify for it. So, but yeah. You have to talk to us to find out.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, number 3. Should I get pre-approved before looking?
Yes, that is a yes. So I think sometimes people have this idea that they don't want to get pre-approved before they start looking because they're like, what if I don't find what I like? Well, a pre-approval is usually good for 60 to 90 days. But ultimately, a lender will probably give you a pre-approval. And as long as nothing changes with your credit, your finances, you can continue looking. And when you're ready to make an offer on a house, if it takes longer than 60 or 90 days, go back to that lender and say, hey, I finally found the house I want. Can we update my pre-approval? They're going to have to do that anyways. They have to update it anyways. So then they can do that again. But yes, absolutely. Why would you want to look at a home if you don't know if you can afford it?
Right.
So
do you ever show people that aren't pre-approved?
I have, because sometimes, like, just to get people to pull the trigger on getting pre-approved, you need to inspire them a little bit.
Yeah.
Say like, hey, here's a house that I feel like is like within range, because I know like what a first time home buyer range value is going to be. Like, I'll
You're
show them
not
something
going to
like
show
that.
me like
I'm not
$1
going to go show them
million
$1 million house and be like, yeah, you guys can get this.
Actually, I might. Just depends. How much money do you
Depends
make?
on how much
money do
motivation
you
we
make?
need to give them. No, I would just like, if they call me, if somebody calls me, they're a lead on anything, like maybe one of my listings, and they're like, we just started looking.
Yeah.
We like your listing. I'll meet them out there and I'll show it to them. And then I'll say, hey, if you like this one, you might also like this other house, which maybe that wouldn't be one of my listings and it would be same value or something. I can go show it to them and say, if you liked either of these, let's get in touch with one of my lenders that I work with that I think you'll be able to get pre-approved. And then we can really find out if these are options for you.
Yeah.
I think that's like a really good way to get them motivated enough to do it, because a lot of people, if I tell them, hey, before I can show you anything, I need you to get pre-approved, they're going to be like, man, this guy just wants to send me through the paperwork trail.
Right.
And
it's kind of discouraging too, I think.
Meeting them face to face, having a conversation, letting them know it doesn't take that much to get pre-approved. You just need to spend an hour in an evening, make sure you have the right documentation to submit with it, and you're golden. You're good to go.
And you'll probably find out within like 24 or 48 hours, honestly. Usually.
Usually
maybe 72 hours, but
Yeah.
usually within like the first couple days, you'll find out.
And they might need to ask you for a couple other pieces of documentation or something if you don't provide the right things or enough. But yeah, absolutely get pre-approved. Just so people know, if you apply for a home loan on, let's say, August 1st, for 30 days after that, you can apply at other places and it only dings your credit that one time. It doesn't ding it every time you apply.
That's good.
So
I knew I had an idea, but I didn't know what the time frame was. 30 days, nice. I do the same too. I'll show them like a house or two just so they can see. But I will warn them like, hey, this house already has offers, or they've already, they're reviewing this day or whatever the case is. So if you are interested, then we do need to move fast
right away.
So I mean, it just depends. Every situation is different.
Question number 4: how much should I offer?
This is a good one. Depends on the house. Depends on the time on the market. Honestly, I am very weird. I study the agents. So depending on who has the house listed, I know like this person's going to take the first offer that comes. This person's going to wait until X amount of days to get the best, the highest and best. This person is always going to only get the high. Like they want you to come in strong. This person's going to be, wishy-washy or whatever. I know for the most part, because it's usually the same agents that are selling, you know what I mean, that are actually producing and they're selling the same listings or whatever.
So you get to know them and
so
their
you get to know them.
operations. Yeah, that is true. I think when it comes to how much you should offer, it does completely change for every house. Yeah. There might be one house that I'm showing you and I could say, guys, we can go in low on this one. We can get you a good deal on this. The house needs some updating. I mean, there might be some costly repairs that are going to help us negotiate. Yeah. But then if let's say that one doesn't work out, it could be the very next house I show you that it's like, guys, this one was just listed today. They've already had 8 showings. We need to go up. Yeah. We need to go high. And that doesn't mean you're overpaying for a home at all. You're paying what it takes to get it for one. And I mean, a home is only worth what you're willing to pay, truly. Right. So if I'm telling you that that's what, you should offer, and I think it'll praise for that, then go for it. If it's the right one for you.
Yeah.
Then,
and I think too, like being realistic about, and I try to be as transparent with my clients, like, hey, they do already have offers on the table, multiple offers. But if you're telling me like, oh, we want to come in under asking, pretty much know that your offer is not going to get accepted. We can do it. I'll still write it up. Like, I work for you. I'm going to give you my recommendation and I'll still do it. But just know that there are X amount of offers. And they're probably going to be higher than us. You never know. But for the most part, someone in there knows that people are going to be coming in low. So they're either going to offer what the seller wants or they're going to come in higher. Yeah. So it just depends. It just be realistic on what can happen and know that if you're consistently going in low on properties when there's multiple offers, you're going to be losing.
It doesn't even have to be multiple offers. If it's the first day on the market and you're trying to go 30,000 below,
that's not going to work.
It's not going to work. And so have you ever had a client say like, I really want to go way low on this? Yes.
I had one that we did $100,000 under asking.
But do you always do that? Because there's certain times where I feel like I know that that's not an appropriate offer. And I don't want to write an offer that is just completely ridiculous. Like I would it's hard to tell a buyer, like we can't write an offer for that.
Yeah.
I can't say no. I don't want to say no, but I also want to be able to tell them just like, I don't think we should waste our time.
Yeah.
I don't want to waste your time doing something like that, getting your hopes up. I'm, being the professional here, I think I know better on whether that's a good offer or not. And so I've tried to convince people to make a more appropriate offer before. But it is hard, you know what I mean?
It is hard. I've never told somebody no, but I have said, like, because it's happened where if I do go too low, the sellers get offended and they're not going to respond to us.
Right.
They're literally going to laugh at us.
Good luck when you submit a second offer. They're going to be like, this guy's just trying to nickel and dime us.
So I do give them the warning, like, hey, I do think this is a little bit low. We can still do it at the end of the day. It's your decision, but know that they might not respond to us and this might set a bad tone for like the transaction.
Right.
If they do decide to counter us or whatever, and then you go back and you still want to do it, at some point they're going to be like, no, we're done.
I like how you said that this could set a bad tone for the transaction because it comes across without like your emotional intentions, right? Because it's on paper and they receive it, and the first thing they're going to do is be like, wow, that's insulting because this is the house we love and you're wanting to offer way low. Like that's ridiculous. You know, there's no emotion transferred there, so it's easy for people to get upset, and it does set a negative tone for the whole way.
Yeah, it does. And usually when that happens, I do give like the listing agent a heads up, like, hey, I'm submitting an offer is coming in low, please let your sellers know this is not to offend them. They love the house. This is just their max. And they wanted me to try it and I'm just doing my job.
Yep.
It's really what it is. We don't mean any harm. And it's happened where we say that and they do accept and it's a low one.
Yeah.
So you never know.
Yeah.
You really never know.
That's
but
true.
Depends who the agent is.
So the answer to this question, how much should I offer, is ask your agent and listen to what they have to say.
Listen to your experienced agent, hopefully.
Yes.
Because if your agent doesn't have the proper experience, they're not going to do you like your justice that you deserve. You know what I mean?
They're going into it just as blindly as you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
that could cost you the house.
Fingers crossed.
And that could cost you the house.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 5, what cost should I expect besides the mortgage?
So this is talking about after closing. So after closing, you should expect to have to pay. So some of the money that you pay to your mortgage goes to your property insurance, your homeowner's insurance, and your property taxes. Those are held in an escrow account most of the time when you have a mortgage. You're still paying for those, but your mortgage company's paying them in bulk for you when you're due. But it just comes out of your mortgage. So those are a few things that are wrapped into the mortgage. On top of that, you're going to have utilities. You might have HOA dues or let's say condo fees. It depends on what type of residence you're living in. And you might have like maintenance repairs such as road maintenance or just maintenance around the house. And then occasional like actual repairs. Or upgrades.
Yeah. And I'd say quick side note, usually like HOA fees and condo fees, when your lender gives you your estimate, it's all included in that payment. But when you go to pay it, you do pay those fees separate. So if you do live in a place where there's HOA or there's going to be HOA or condo fees, talk to whoever you need to talk to, whether it's your agent, find out where that money needs to go so that you don't start off on a bad foot, So
that's right. Yeah. Other costs that might come up before you're closed on a home are like definitely inspection costs. If you're doing a home inspection,
re-inspections,
re-inspection or revisit, you might have to pay for the appraisal depending on whether they collect it up front when it happens or at closing. You might have to test water. For sellers, they have to pump the sewer, but if the buyer wants to do a sewer inspection, they may have to pay for that. There's just all these different costs that can happen. They're not all required. But most commonly, you're going to have at least a couple around the home inspection and maybe an appraisal. Most commonly. So those are the questions that we get from buyers. We do have 5 questions that we would most commonly get from sellers also. So the first one is, how much is my home worth?
Ooh.
And
don't check Zillow.
Well, here's what I think about Zillow. You can look at it, but don't trust it as your primary source of knowing what your home is worth.
Zillow's going to use, this is what as far as I know, Zillow's going to use the general market, everything that's available.
all the sales and stuff,
all the
and they may not
comparisons,
look at
everything. They don't look at the
realistic
condition.
comps.
They don't look at the size. It's everything across the board. That's what that Zestimate is. When we go in and we do it, we get comparables that are compared to what you actually have. If it's 2-bed, 1-bath, that's what we're comparing it. We're comparing it in the same area. Something in West Valley is going to have a different cost than something in downtown Yakima. Something in Moxie is going to cost different than something in Toppenish. So,
Right.
yeah.
So when it comes to finding out what my home is worth, the most detailed and accurate way to find out is to get an appraisal. But I don't think it's worth doing it as a seller. Most of the time, a seller wants to know what is the resale value of my home. And if you're wanting to find out a resale value, you should talk to a real estate agent who can do a comparable market analysis to find out today's market value if we were to put it on the market right now. And that's most of the time what sellers want to know. If you're wanting to know what the value of your home is to find out how much equity you have in it, a comparable market analysis might help. An appraisal is still the best way to go because in most cases, if you're looking at equity or borrowing against it, you're going to have to get an appraisal anyways through refinancing in order to get that equity out. But I mean, a CMA should take an agent maybe an hour or two to do if they're doing it properly. And that's a really good way to find out what it's worth. And most of the time, or all the time, it doesn't cost anything for a realtor to do that.
Right. Yeah.
So,
okay. Question number 2 for sellers. Should I renovate before selling? You give your opinion and I'll give mine.
Well, our notes here say not always. I think that renovations are good, especially when they are in an area that gives you the biggest return on your investment. So I can share really fast. I've said this in previous episodes too. 2 improvements that you can make to your home before selling it that give you the highest return on your investment are your front door and your garage doors. If you don't have a very nice front door or it's very basic or something, it might cost you $1,000 to replace a good door, something that looks appealing. And if that's not in your budget, maybe paint. Paint can go a long way too. Give it a little bit of a statement or an accent that is appealing, eye-catching. And then garage doors, those can be expensive too. But if you have really old garage doors that are, heavy, not very efficient for insulation, and they just don't look very appealing, or maybe they're broken, replacing those can give you the highest investment. I think the reports that I read on this, and it was a while ago, but it was like the front door can give you a 100% return on your investment, and garage doors was like 170% or something like that. I can't remember, but it was like more than double the cost of putting it in is what you'll get in return.
Yeah, because it is something that, if you're looking at a nice house, but it needs a new garage door, you're going to be like, oh, that's expensive. I'm not going to do that. I don't want to deal with that.
So those aren't necessarily renovations, but those are like improvements. Now, when we're talking renovations, the 2 most expensive renovations that you can do in a home that give you the best value for return is going to be a kitchen and a bathroom. And both of those are expensive. Kitchens are the most expensive. But if your kitchen is in really rough shape, you have to decide, is it best for me to clean it and just make it as a blank canvas and as clean as possible and let the next person figure that out? Or will I get a return on my investment if I decide to go get new countertops, new appliances, maybe new cabinets or new flooring? I think that it's a good call. I mean, especially like let's scale it back to something that's even smaller. Carpet.
Yeah.
Carpet gets stained. Carpet can get stinky. If it stinks and it looks bad, replace it.
Yeah.
Get something that's like LVP, something cheap. I mean, it is so cheap these days. You can do something really simple.
Yeah.
But also make sure that you're like not going below the quality of the rest of the home. Like if you have a nice home that's maybe higher end, don't put the cheapest type of flooring in there. That won't go over well with somebody who's expecting high quality, right?
I think more than anything, just make sure your house is clean and make sure it smells good.
Yeah.
The smell is probably the number one thing that is going to throw somebody off. Like if it's a beautiful house, but it smells like smoke, it smells like pets, it smells like, I don't know, mold, you can fix it. But you know what I mean? That's one of the biggest things. I remember there was a house, I think it was like a nicer area, the Tinkara neighborhood.
Yeah.
And it was listed for a super long time. And it's because it smelled like smoke. It smelled so strong of smoke, so strong. But the house was beautiful, obviously beautiful neighborhood. And my clients really wanted it, but then they ended up not getting it.
Yeah.
But yeah, make sure it smells good. Make sure you clean it. A little goes a long way, honestly. Even if a house is old, as long as it's clean and it smells good, for the most part, it feels homey,
Right.
versus like
And
walking into a dirty house and it
yeah,
stinks.
I think if there's 3 things that I feel like are just a really, really good kind of like reset button to get the most value, it's paint, flooring, and cleaning.
Yeah.
Those 3 things can completely transform a
Yeah.
space. Completely. And if they're all necessary, then I would say, it's probably a good call.
Yeah.
to do
And
that.
also, I guess, depends on your motivation. Because if you don't care how long it takes to sell, you're not in a hurry, then, I guess don't do anything. But if you want to get it sold, then do the renovations,
A
get
lot
it
of the
cleaned up.
times it comes down to 2 different things, and sometimes you can't have both. But do you have the luxury of time, or are you looking for more money?
Right. Yeah.
You can, if you want more money, then you should probably invest a little bit more money, but maybe you don't want to take it that long to sell
Right.
it. So you need to make sure that you're maximizing what you can get back out of it based on what you've put into it. Because taking a lot more time is not on the market is not going to get you more money.
No, it's going
It's going to
get
take
you
money
less
away.
money.
Yeah. So, and if you have time before listing a home to put some money and equity into it, then do it.
Yeah.
It's a good call.
Yeah.
So, but there is such a thing as overcompensating or overinvesting into a home, and you do want to be very careful that you're not doing that. I have had people who bought a home that was decently nice, pretty nice, and because they said they didn't want to do upgrades, well, they got in there and they decided, oh, we're going to change out the flooring, we're going to paint, we're going to do all these new renovations and stuff, and it was like apples for apples.
Yeah.
You just changed the color and the type of
Right.
countertops
But
or
it's the whatever.
same
thing. Yeah.
But
That's not giving you
it doesn't give you more value. It
more
just
value.
it just
Yeah.
changed the aesthetic, and that it was a waste of money. So you have to be very careful with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, the next question: how long will it take for my home to sell?
Depends on price, depends on how it looks, depends on what time of the year it is.
Yeah.
Realistically, I just had this conversation with my sister yesterday. If you're going to list a home, you have to do it by like the second week of October at the latest. And even then, if you're listing in October, for me, almost like 50 to 70% of my houses will sit if I list that late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have some too. Yeah. I just closed on one almost a month ago. I think it was at the beginning of July that I listed the week of Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything listed in those like holiday months after October, it just takes longer to sell. I mean, there is still a lot of buyers out, but not as many. I mean, it's starting to get cold. People are in like holiday mode. They're not really, it's not as aggressive, I guess. But at the same time, if you are a buyer, this is when you can get a good deal.
That is right.
Right. So that's been always
Shopping in
my
the
best
wintertime
deals.
may not be the most ideal timing, but it is the most ideal time to have less competition and more motivated sellers. So absolutely take advantage of that if you have the ability. I also think when it comes to figuring out how long it will take for a home to sell, this is something that I tell sellers. There's 2 things that you can do if your home is not selling. There's only 2 things. You can either change the price or you can fix something about the home that's preventing it from being able to sell, like the smell or
the paint,
a roof or paint, something that's a costly expense that's obvious that's preventing it from selling. And if you're not able to do that, let's say you can't afford to put a $10,000 roof on or a $15,000 roof on, then take that off the price.
Yeah.
Take it off the price. And that doesn't mean that by replacing a $10,000 that you're going to add $10,000 of value to it. No, you're just maintaining the value of it. You're actually putting the value back into it, but you're not growing the value.
Right.
You have to make sure you understand that like sometimes those improvements are literally just to give the buyer peace of mind to get it sold, and it just takes one less project off your hands. Yeah. So definitely know price or something about the home that you can like physically fix. Those are the only 2 things you can change about a home to make it sell.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
okay. Question number
9.
9.
Well, this is question number 4 for sellers.
Number 4 for sellers. Why shouldn't I just price it high and see what happens?
Well, an experienced realtor is not going to take your listing to sit on it. I don't take listings
Mhm.
for fun to sit on. I take listings because I want to sell them.
Yep.
And this is also why I tell sellers that
Mhm.
double siding is something we're allowed to do. And I
Mhm.
definitely have an interest in wanting to do that because
Mhm.
you're hiring me to sell your home.
Mhm.
So yeah, am I going to look for a buyer? Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think it's a good idea to price your home high and see what happens because there is this window at the beginning. You never get that first impression or those first days on market back.
You don't. Mhm.
And that's why you got to hit it hard and
Mhm.
do it right from the
Mhm.
very beginning.
Mhm.
Make sure it's in its best possible shape. Take the best photos.
Yeah.
Put it on at a prime time that people are looking or the right timing of the week. And don't skip a beat.
Yeah.
Do it right and price it right from the beginning
Mhm.
because there's only one shot at the beginning for you to get the most maximum exposure and the highest amount of interest, which may result in the highest amount of
Mhm.
offers, which is the
those
best.
first
Yes.
couple weeks. Yeah.
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 Would you say it along that?
Yeah.
lines of that?
I mean, I think anything in the first literally 15 days, maybe first 20 days. After that, me as a buyer's agent, that I normally help a lot of buyers, I'm looking at it like, okay, I can get a deal. After
Opportunity.
20
Yep.
days, I can get a deal.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts. And also, when I was newer, I did take a listing. I will never forget this listing because I did take it and we did price high and we listed it twice and it never sold. And she still lives there. She didn't care to sell it though.
She
Her
wasn't motivated.
motivation wasn't. She's just kind of like,
Just want to see what
let's
she
just
could
see
get.
what happens. I knew in the area it wasn't. I told her, I said, I don't even think it's gonna appraise.
Yeah.
But I'll do it with you knowing that if the bank comes and says it's worth less, we're gonna have to drop this price.
Right.
And she was aware of that, but it never sold. So
Was this on Garfield?
it was on Cherry
Oh.
Ave. Mhm.
Yeah, I definitely do not like to take listings if I know that it's going to sit for a long time.
Mhm.
I mean, I wish I was in a place to be able to turn listings
Yeah.
down because somebody's just too unrealistic, but I
Mhm.
won't do that. I think part of what makes us good at our job is being able to not only convince
Mhm.
people, but educate people
Yeah.
on.
Your motivation or your urgency to get out. If you want to get out, trust us, the professionals. Don't trust your buddy's friend that just sold his house.
Right.
That was in pristine condition and priced right. Don't trust them,
Right. Or
trust us.
trusting Zillow or
Yeah.
even the tax assessed value.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just in like the history of years where houses get tax assessments, they
And-
generally are lower, but that's not the case
Yeah.
anymore. Sometimes houses are way overassessed.
Yeah.
I actually told you I have an appointment I'm going to today for a
Mhm.
listing where they told me, well, our tax assessment said a couple years ago the house is worth $750.
Oh,
And it's
God.
come down a little bit.
Mm.
When I did my market analysis for them a couple months ago, I was at $650.
Oh, wow.
And so we were at a disagreement and I told him, I said, let me go back and look at some new numbers. And since then, a few houses have come on that might justify like the 700 range,
Mhm.
but not 750.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
Yeah.
I might be able to get them partway there, but a
Yeah.
tax assessed value can be inaccurate.
Yeah. And also, I think it does have a little bit to do with the realtor too, because I have had listings, when someone wants to sell their house where I have a realtor that I'm competing against. And the seller will tell me, this person said that they can sell it for the higher price. And I like that higher price. I literally had somebody tell me, I want the price that he told me, but I want to hire you. And it was only because I spoke Spanish and he was a Spanish speaking person. And I told him, I said, we can list it at this price, but I'm telling you right now, based on my comparisons in the area, this is not the value. I don't think it's even going to appraise at this. We listed the house. It sat on the market for over 30 days. We ended up getting a cash offer to the price that I recommended listing. Literally within like weeks of listing this house, probably within a week, there was a house on the other street. It's the same exact build. So that little area has the same houses. I listed this one at the price that I told them and it sold in 2 days. This one took 30 days to sell. The other one, the one that he didn't listen.
remember this.
Yeah, the one that he didn't listen to me. So I'm like, just trust your agent. Just because somebody tells you they'll give you more money, they're just trying to get your business.
Right.
Don't trust the agent that is like, I can get you more money. I can get you more money. It's not the agent. It's the market. The market's going to tell you what your house is worth. And if your house is sitting for too long, that means people don't see that value in it.
Right.
So
And a
trust
lot of
us when we say to drop the price.
There are a lot of times where if somebody's interviewing multiple realtors for their listing, the realtor that says the highest price is actually not the one who will give you the biggest advantage on working with them,
Mhm.
such as the right type of marketing, the right type of exposure, the right type of photography, stuff like that. That stuff is really what works the best, is somebody who's really going to go to bat and work for you, not just somebody who's going to say that they can get you the highest price. They may not even have proof to back up why they're able to get you that.
Yeah.
They're just shooting high to see if it sticks.
Yep.
Yeah.
And usually does.
And that's why.
And then you have to drop your price because it's not valued at that price.
Have you ever had a seller tell you that they'd like you to find out what their home is worth and send them a CMA? But I want to sit down with the seller and explain it. I feel like I have to. And I've had them just say, just email it over to me and I'll look at it tonight. And I've done that. And it's like, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. You need
details.
I need to be able to tell them, like, you have to sit down with me to go over this. There's so much more strategy and stuff beyond just looking at the final number and being like, that didn't hit where I wanted it to.
Yeah.
And then they just decide to lose touch with us.
Right. And then they go with someone else at the price it is not worth. And
Yeah. Okay.
Last
one.
question.
Go for it.
Do I really need a realtor? I don't know. Would you get surgery with the guy at the grocery store? No, probably not.
It's actually a good question. Would you? So, I mean,
you know what I'm trying to ask. That didn't make sense, but
legally,
you know what I'm trying to ask.
You can do things on your own, just like you can sell a car on your own. You can sell a home on your own. Is that the best thing though? No, it really isn't, because you may have sold a house on your own before in the past, and maybe it was a breeze and you think, wow, this is so easy. I could always do this in the future and save a lot of money. But
you never know who you're dealing with.
You don't know. Every transaction is different, and you don't know when something comes up that might get you into legal trouble. There's so much liability on the back end that people aren't aware of. And everybody is sue happy these days. Why would you even want to take your chances? You could, maybe on a certain type of home, the commissions run $30,000 that you're paying for a seller or a listing agent and a buyer's agent. But would you rather be sued for the entire amount of your home, like $500,000 or whatever it ends up being? Like that, it's not only that, though, the liability, it's working with somebody who knows how to get you the highest amount in the shortest amount of time, the highest dollar amount in the shortest amount of time, who knows how to get the right buyers in front of you and not somebody that's going to waste your time. I just closed on a listing not too long ago that tried to sell for sale by owner first, and they got burned. On closing day, the buyer walked away, and it was because they didn't have a proper contract saying that they needed to. And it cost these guys, the sellers, a lot more money. They didn't even get to keep their earnest money. It's because they didn't have somebody going to bat for them to negotiate. So they called me after that and they said, we are so tired and burnt out on this. We need to just list it with a realtor and let you take it from here. And I got them more. Let's see, we listed it for $10,000 more than what they were under contract for. And I think I got them $7,000 over the list price.
Wow, nice.
So they made a lot more money in return.
More.
And I think we're only active on the market for about week and a half before we went pending. So they came out on top in the end. And they still have to pay some commissions. So their net amount was a little lower. Yes, but we got it done. We found them a good qualified buyer.
And it probably evened out for the most part.
It really did.
With the extra money that you were able to get them.
It did. Yeah.
That's really good.
It evened out a lot. But they were just so thankful in the end because it was like, man, he made it so easy for us. And so, and in a tougher market, I just saw a house that was for sale by owner that I showed to a client recently. And it wasn't selling, and they just listed it with a realtor.
I saw it. I bet I know which one it is.
Yes.
The one on the corner?
Brick. Yep.
It's actually a really cute house.
It is. And I didn't think
just
it
don't
was
like the
listed bad
location.
at all. The house right next door to it, across through the trees, is pretty rough, but it is
I just think it's kind of dangerous intersection because I think there's a hill that comes down, and I just think like wintertime, if somebody can't stop, that car is going into your house.
Definitely.
It could.
It hasn't yet for a long time.
That's true. But that's true. You're right. I guess
you just
never
right.
know. You just never know. I guess I always think worst case
really
scenario.
Close to the road.
It does, yeah. But it's such a cute house. It is. Yeah. I really liked it for my clients. My clients really liked it too.
It was a rental, and they put a lot of work into it because I showed this house before it was sold the last time, and they put a lot of work into it, and they made it really nice. It's super clean. It's a good home.
It's cute.
But they just listed it with a realtor, and it's probably because they realize that it's hard to sell a home right now.
It is. This is not COVID.
And I have a neighbor that was wishy-washy on wanting to work with a realtor. And that's just crazy. I don't even know. He was telling me that he wasn't confident in the value that I gave him. But so he wanted to list it lower on his own. And I said, I'm the professional here. And I'm telling you, I can back up these numbers.
Yeah.
crazy.
Also, I said it once and I'll say it again. I'm sure I've said this before. Do you really need a realtor? If your house is anything above even 200,000, 250,000, your agent should be getting professional photos.
Yes.
I see so many like $500, $400, $600,000 houses, and I can tell that they were taking on a crappy phone.
Yeah.
Maybe, I mean, a good iPhone can still take good photos if you know what you're doing.
But most of these people don't.
But a $600,000 home should not have a blurry photo.
Right.
It should not. It should be done professionally.
Absolutely.
Yes, you do need a realtor. Personally, me, and I'm pretty sure you too, we take care of those costs. But come on. Like, yes, you do need a realtor for that. If you're selling, and you need the right realtor. You don't just need a realtor. You need the right person.
And in that price range, honestly, the photo packages that I purchase are like a minimum of $500 to $800.
Yeah.
Like I can easily spend over $1,000 on marketing for that home. And that's a lot of money to put up front. And that's why when I list a home, I want to make sure that it gets sold because I'm putting my own time and money into it. I'm willing to waste my time if I have to sometimes, right? But I'm not willing to waste my money.
Yeah.
Because that literally takes out of what I'm able to bring home for my family.
Yeah.
So I don't like having to do that. And I try to be very intentional with pricing and marketing and the expectations. But ultimately, this is a question that I think of. So do I need a realtor? The people who are questioning whether they don't need a realtor most likely had a bad experience with the wrong realtor.
Right.
They didn't ever have the right realtor to begin with.
Right. And to kind of help with that, Yakima has over 500 realtors in general, roughly, right?
About.
Something like that. But producing realtors is probably like 100.
100 or less.
100 or less
that are full-time producing.
That are full-time producing, which means we're actually out here. We know what's out there. We're negotiating. We're doing this. This is our number one job, right? We know what we're doing. There's probably only 100 of us or less.
Yeah, and if you're looking at hiring, if you're looking at hiring a realtor, a lot of people know somebody or are related to one, and that's something you can consider. But do you know how many people there are in the MLS that have only sold one home in the last year? I think it was like 200 people.
It's crazy.
Or more. And do you think if they sold one home in the last year, they actually have a good understanding and they are an expert in the market? I think it was like the 80 to 100 that have sold more than 4. So even if they sold 4 or 5 in the last year, do you think they have a grip
good
on it?
Understanding on what they're even doing.
Do you think they're an expert of right now? Probably not. And so maybe ask the realtor how many homes they've sold in the last year. I mean, if they sold more than 5, then they probably know what they're doing. If they sold less than 5, there's a really good chance that they're not an actual expert in the market at all.
Yeah. Hey, let's do some do some rapid fire questions.
All right. Rapid fire questions, bonus questions. What's the biggest mistake a first time home buyer can make?
You go first.
I think it's opening a new line of credit.
Ooh, I think it's quitting your job.
Those are both
quitting your job
problems.
Or buying a car.
Yeah, well, that's a new line of credit.
Yeah. I guess the same thing.
Just when you're adding a lot to your credit.
Yeah, don't make big financial moves if you think you're going to buy a house within the next year or few months.
Right.
Should I wait for interest rates to drop?
I don't think so because it's been a long time since they've dropped, and for them to drop enough that you think it's worth it is probably going to be a very long time. They're just as likely to go up as they are to go down. So
yeah, and you can refinance a high rate. You can't refinance a high price. Once you're locked into that price, that's your price forever. And what keeps happening over the course of the years? Inflation. Everything keeps getting more expensive. So these prices are going up even if the rates are going out, down. So you're getting less for more money now. So
right.
Can I buy and sell at the same time?
Yes. You can.
It's a process.
Be ready to try. Options. You can list your house and find another home and then kind of make it like a domino effect. So as one closes, the next one closes. Or if you want to, there's certain types of loans that you can use the equity of your current home to go purchase another one. You move in, and once you've bought that one, then you can go back and list your other one. It's kind of a 2-step process. And that one's a little more expensive, but it is possible. How do multiple offers work? Multiple offers work.
They don't. I'm just kidding.
What I always tell people is give it your final and best up front. Don't submit something and expect them to come back to you and be like, okay, because people say like bidding war, where it's like they think the seller's like, okay, Priscilla, what do you have? What do
They
you give
don't.
me your best?
They
Okay,
don't.
and then they're gonna go back over here and say, Jordan, what do you have? Can you give me your best over here? Okay, now Priscilla, they don't, right?
No.
They take all offers and they will choose the highest and best
Yeah.
right there. So give it your best from the start.
And this is what little tangent, but if I submit an offer to Jordan's listing and then 2 days later Jordan says, hey, we have 5 offers on the table, we're going to decide on Sunday, I will go and I will tell him, let me talk with my client to see if they want to go up any higher. I do this every time. I go to my client and I say, hey, they now have 5 offers. Are you sure this is what you want to stick to? They will either tell me yes or no, and then we'll either, up our price or we'll stay where we're at and we'll see what happens.
Right.
So yeah, is staging really worth it? I don't know. I don't really do staging. So
staging is really
it's expensive.
Staging. So we don't have a lot of staging options here in Yakima, and I personally won't use the most popular stager here because of how expensive she is and just a character difference. But I think staging can help. I've bought materials to stage homes before.
You have, and your staging is pretty good.
I sold a lot of that stuff because it's hard for me to store it at my house. I use this bedroom as like a storage unit, and I hated that, so I started getting rid of it. But staging can help. I like to do something where I call it soft staging, where it's like, let's put some hand towels in the bathroom, maybe a nice little soap dispenser, some fake plants kind of scattered throughout, but we don't need to go through the whole big furniture thing. There's some like,
little things you can do,
sheets and things you can do to help make it better and shine more.
To help kind of give it a vision. Yeah.
But before staging, I would say if the home isn't clean, then don't even consider staging. Cleaning is the first thing. Do that first, and that'll already take care of half of it.
Yep. What does being under contract actually mean?
So under contract, there's a few different terms that we use while being under contract. Under contract means that you have entered a contract and you're legally bound to move forward with this purchase or this sale with a buyer. But there's terms that people might see online that you may not understand, like if it says it's pending, that means they've entered a contract and they're going through the process of closing to close it. There's pending accepting backup, meaning they've accepted an offer, but maybe they don't have a lot of faith in it making it to the end. So they're looking at others just in case their first one falls apart, then they can move to yours. Then there's contingent with a release clause. Contingent with a release clause means that they've accepted a buyer, an offer from a buyer who is also trying to sell their home in order to pay for this one. And during that time, they can entertain any other offer and bump that first one out if it's a better offer than what they initially got. So that's a good opportunity for people still. Do not let that stop you from wanting to make an offer on it. Sometimes you just have to play it by ear and see, how is that current offer going before we decide to really invest into that. So those are kind of the under contract terms and meanings, but really the general idea of being under contract is that you've entered into a binding contract to purchase or sell the home. How much are closing costs?
Typically 3%, but
of the purchase price. Yes.
Of the purchase price, but we sometimes, for the most part in this market, can get them negotiated. Just depends on the house.
Right. Yeah. So if you estimate about 3% of the purchase price, that should be enough to cover all of them, unless you start going into other things that are like some optional things like buying down your interest rate. That increases it because you have to pay for the buy down. Stuff like that. But, and if it's a cash offer, there's not very many closing costs. You're just going to have to pay up property taxes and some title and escrow fees and recording fees. Pretty basic, which, by the way, runs like maybe a few thousand on a $300,000 house. What's the first thing I should fix before listing? Your attitude.
We said earlier, we're like, your attitude. We said it at the same time.
It's like jinx. No, if you have a bad attitude, then
your
fix
mindset.
that.
Your mindset around it.
But if we're talking about literal fixes on things, I would say anything that is like a little pesky, broken issue, like tough door handles or doors that don't close properly.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Fix those things. Light bulbs, easy. That's no question. Yeah, fix that.
Or even like things that an appraiser's going to call out. If you have broken windows.
Paint. Broken windows, yes.
Oh my gosh. I had a closing a couple weeks ago. When we toured the house, there was holes in the wall and there was every single window in the house was broken. We knew this was going to be an issue. We knew from the beginning, and the work we had to close like a week late because the work wasn't done on time. And then one of the windows that they were replacing came broken. So then we had to extend more, which is like fine. Luckily everything worked out, but come on, we already knew this was an issue. Why didn't Like, why did we wait so long to get it fixed? So if you know that a broken window and the way that these were broken, you would have known this is going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Can I buy a home if I have student loans?
Yes.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can. Just
debt is
talk to your
debt.
lender.
Debt is debt, but yeah, you can definitely, if it fits within your ratio, your debt to income ratio, then yeah, you can.
And how do I know if a home is overpriced?
I think the first sign is how many days it's been on the market. If it's been on the market for a long time, that generally means there's either a pricing issue or something about it that's preventing it to sell, like a cosmetic detail or something, or a functionality
or
thing.
a roof, or whatever the case may be.
But also your realtor, if they're experienced, they might be able to tell from pretty early on if it's overpriced, especially with luxury homes. I feel like luxury homes over the $1 million mark are always listed for higher because they know they're going to sit on the market for a bit. So I always think that those go on overpriced.
Yeah, same. I agree.
But that does it.
Yeah.
That's everything.
These are some really good questions. And if you guys have any specific questions, you always know you can reach out to us, send us a DM.
Drop them in the comments too, because we can answer it there and let other people see what our answers are. So this was a good episode. We do have more coming soon. Always good stuff with us. But if you have some suggestions or anything, we'd like to hear them. So,
any tea you want to hear?
Yeah, or spill.
Or we can spill it. You got nothing better to do.
That's right. Well, thank you all for watching, and we will see you again next week.
Bye.
Bye.